All right, let's look into our boy Clavicular. All right, the looks maxing god, the man of the hour, the man who will show young men how to maximize their looks. So they say. But anyways, he's actually in some legal trouble at the moment as he's being sued by an ex-girlfriend. Okay, and before we get into it, though, in case you haven't heard of this guy and you actually, have a job and you do other things in your life, I can give you some highlights of what he's done in case you guys are a little, a little unfamiliar. So, as I covered in my anthology series, he has actually run over a man with his Cybertruck. And he has also shot alligators in Florida, which is incredibly illegal. And of course, he actually was literally arrested back in March for like battery as well. So that's all been happening to him. And when you see this guy, his clips usually go around, and it's usually him doing something, not outrageous, but something that's like clickbaity-ish. Like, I don't know, he'll be in the club doing awkward dances or something. That guy actually can't dance for real. Or he'll be doing, I don't know, he'll be like fighting people or something, all that stuff. So he's basically one of like the one of those quick streamers that's always in some kind of trouble. Like we literally just covered Johnny Somali the other day, so always in some kind of trouble. And so naturally, legally, it doesn't turn out very well for him. But let's actually take a look into the case itself, because there's some of these allegations and some of these charges that he's being sued for is quite intense. Unfortunately, we have to reference TMZ, and I couldn't get any court documents at the time because this is literally very fresh. However, we can take a look into it right now. So let's get started. Controversial streamer Clavicular has been sued for battery, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and more. TMZ learned a lawyer for Clav adamantly denies the claims. Influencer Alexandra Vasilinva Mendoza is dragging Clavicular, real name Braden Peters, to court for allegedly promising to promote her career back in 2025, claiming he instead took advantage of her, had sex with her while she was under the age of 18, and injected her face with drugs. At one point, Mendoza claims Clavicular sent her an Uber to meet him at his parents' home in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. She says she went because she had never met Clavicular in person to that point, and he'd help boost her online presence. She says excessive amounts of alcohol are being served at Clavicular's house, and she became inebriated. She accuses Clavicular of having sex with her when she was unable to give consent, and then claims she woke up the next morning to him having sex with her again without her consent. She says they did not speak for months after that until they ran into each other in Miami, still under the impression Clavicular could help her career. She says she accepted Clavicular's invite to a streaming session. She claims he and his friends snorted a white powdery substance at a charging station on the way, which she says she refused when offered. So that's the situation right now. We'll look into it a bit more after, but so basically, I didn't remember this one particularly because actually in my last video I did, literally this is the same girl she was being injected with I think it was Aqualix, which is which is kind of crazy. And she's also a looks maxing person who's into that stuff as well. So naturally, you have a looks maxer here, you have one here, and they're all gonna collaborate and do all that stuff. So that's where we're at now. Anyways, so that's the context. And so, of course, with stuff like this, of course, nobody can really verify it outside of like a police investigation. So I'm not really going to comment on that because it's he said, she said, and also I don't believe he's done a public defense as of right now. Anyways, moving along. During this live stream, Mendoza says Clavicular injected Aqualix into her face to melt fat on her cheeks and streamed it without her permission. She also says she was under the false impression he was medically cleared to perform such an act. Mendoza further alleges Clavicular suggested that methamphetamine had been added to the injection. She says she saw multiple times following that incident, as she believed he was still trying to help her influencing career. But now she says she has lost all her sponsorships after Clavicular began a campaign to discredit her. In addition to battery, fraud, and intentionally inflicting emotional distress on her, Mendoza is suing Clavicular for the unauthorized publication of her and likeness. She is seeking damages in excess of $50,000. Mendoza's legal team tells TMZ the allegations in the complaint speak for themselves. We are looking forward to hearing from Mr. Peters' attorneys. Clavicular's attorney, Steve Kramer, tells TMZ, "We are aware of the complaint recently filed against Mr. Peters. These are allegations only and remain unproven. Mr. Peters denies the claims and disputes the characterizations of events. He will respond through the appropriate legal channels and intends to vigorously defend himself. We will not comment any further at this time." So like I said, this is a very fresh case. And so the big one for me, at least that I picked up on, especially when it comes down to, is like impersonating a medical professional, which is very much illegal. And also him injecting her, like I'll show you on some screen video right now. You can literally see he literally injects her into a lash. And now Aqualix is basically something that's used to like dissolve fat, and it's literally there just to make you look better and all that. So that's really what it is. Of course, it doesn't come with all the side effects, but here you guys can read it up here. And so yeah, but now at last there are some legal ramifications to this, as you all are aware. Naturally, when it comes down to the legal aspect, from what I read, and especially going under the statutes of like Florida law, it is a third-degree felony. It is punishable in these sections to attempt to practice, or to offer a practice healthcare profession without an active, valid Florida license to practice that profession. Practicing without an active, valid license also includes practicing on a suspended, revoked, or void license, but does not include practicing, attempted practice, or offering to practice with an inactive or delinquent license for a period of time up to 12 months, which is just in subparagraph 3. And so, because it is a third-degree felony, when you look at it here, it says here it's the amount that he can get is like 5 years. Of course, that's only on that chart. And the reason why I'm showing, like I'm telling you guys this, is because this is the one that's on stream that you can see. He's literally injecting her. So very hard to refute that in court. Unless there is, like, I don't know, an NDA or something, or maybe she had some legal papers signed by his team or whatnot. But even then, if she was like 16 or something at the time, then her parents must have had to sign that. So that's kind of like where we're at now. But naturally, there is some other stuff like in other people's defense, not all in her defense, at least in Clavicular's defense, that is coming up. So let's actually read what some of these people brought up, because it could be, could be interesting. So let's see.
And what else? Not dating Clav. Just did a little stream together where he injected Aqualix. It was really fun. Super nice. Sent me an Uber home right after. I've done a lot of like fat dissolvers, peptides, contacts, dark hair, tanned. Like, of course I did that shit, and I don't give a fuck. Like, as long as I mog and I look good, I'm chilling, guys.
So those came from like, those like update channels or those update accounts. So that's what she said as well. So from what it looks like, the situation is very messy, but especially on Clav's end, it doesn't look very great. Especially with the injecting on stream. That's like really bad. That's really bad. I shouldn't have been able to tell you that. And that's the most damning evidence that I could see, at least at the moment. And of course, there's other charges that can be like applied as well. But as I've seen, as I know so far, this is a civil case. So it could escalate to criminal, but as of right now, we don't know. And it kind of goes to show you that the way some people make their content is just kind of insane. And to me, like, when it comes down to look smashing, it seems like a really stupid movement, or at least it's a very stupid idea, because essentially, like, the way you look, one, is always going to change at some point, and two, it's basically behold on the person who, on the outside world, to dictate whether you're good looking or not. So whether you work out as much as you do, or you do what he does, where he literally, I think he actually overdosed because he's on so many different chemicals. He's on steroids, and he breaks his chin to make his chin look sharper and all that stuff. And so to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, just because one, yeah, everyone else's opinion is and it's all how you look. So kind of crazy to think about, but what do I know? What do I know? Crazy vibes. But anyways, that's what I think about it. And honestly, when it comes to Clav as well, to me, the only way he'll ever be like interesting is if he keeps escalating his antics. Okay, because the few times I've seen him on stream, okay, at least clips, he comes across like a, how do you put it? He's like an android, like an actual android. Ironically, he just talks. He's a bit robotic, and like I said, the man can't dance, which is really what is sin. And that's kind of where we're at now. So yeah. So it comes on these kick streamers, it's always gonna be something. Always something new. And at the end of the day, unless like there's a crackdown on this, someone new is gonna take over. So right now people are cracking on him for looks maxing and jail maxing and lawyer maxing and all this stuff. But it could also be someone else. You never know. You never truly know. Anyways, that's the end of that video. I mean, there's not much really to say about it. It's still fresh, so we shall see. We shall see. But I would actually highly recommend you watch my previous video in the case of online criminal activity, or a study in it anyway, because it's very genuinely fascinating. Because a lot of people who do stuff online, it seems like they forget there's a camera there, and that's all I'm going to say. You guys can watch it for yourselves. Be in the description below, but that's it for today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us in the description below, but that's it today. Not much else to say here. In the meantime, I'm going to be video maxing. Ciao.